Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Community Service Commission on September 19. We're back from summer. We had a crazy summer this year. This year, we're just talking about all these damages and hurricane, whatever. I hope everybody is safe and just a little bit of damage, I think, in the houses, but we all survived. Welcome. Okay, roll call.
Chairperson Ordian,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Phillips,
Present.
Commissioner Barraza,
Present.
Commissioner Scarborough Echo,
Present.
Commissioner Arcega, not here.
Thank you, Edith. I'm going to ask Kimberly to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of course. Would you please join me? Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So we're going to go to the next item, Commissioner's comments. I'm going to ask you, please.
I don't have any comments at the moment.
Okay.
No comments. Thanks.
Just it's glad to be back and looking forward to a very busy season here in the desert and in Indio.
Okay, thank you. Same here. So next thing, we need public comments for items that are not in agenda.
No public comment.
Okay. Minutes of May 16.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, second. Okay.
Commissioner Ordian,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Barraza. Aye. Commissioner Scarborough Echo,
Aye.
motion carries.
Next thing is presentation. Okay. So next item going to be presentation. We have a park supervisor services. Please.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Honorable Chair, members of the Community Services Commission, city staff, thank you for having me today. My name's Kevin Kelman. I'm the General Manager for Desert Recreation District. I'd like to also introduce your elected representative on our board, Luis Espinosa, has joined us today. Just thought this would be a good opportunity for he and you all to meet. So that's that. He covers the vast majority of the city of Indio. We do have a couple of other board members that poke in here and there, just to bring their population numbers up to the appropriate splits. But for all intents and purposes, Luis is your representative. The district and city staff have been working to expand our existing partnership to provide consistent presence in your parks. The goal of this collaboration is to enhance the safety, sustainability, and recreational experiences within the city's parks and open spaces. The city has currently 13 beautiful parks. Depending on how you count them, it could be 16. And then one on the way, which I think we're going to hear a little bit about here in a minute, that attract visitors seeking outdoor recreational opportunities. Additionally, the city has recently made a significant investment in improvements in the city's parks and continues to make those investments to enhance the user experience and create diversity of activities available to hopefully increase their usage. Unfortunately, there continues to be a segment of park users that use the parks for illegal activities that reduce the overall sense of safety and security for the general public to want to use those spaces. And that's created a growing need for the city to have effective management, safety, and oversight of the city parks. DRD is, or the district, is uniquely qualified to assist the city to enhance the user experience and protect its recent investments in park improvements. DRD has provided similar services for the city of Palm Desert for the past 25 years. By leveraging DRD's expertise in managing and maintaining recreational facilities and its commitment to the community engagement, we aim to create a well-rounded, safe, and enjoyable environment for park users. Okay, am I aiming it at the wrong thing? Help. Oh. So when the city and the district staffs were working together on this project along with IPD, we basically came up with three main objectives. The first one is safe and secure parks. So by Desert Recreation District deploying its park attendants to ensure the safety of park visitors, monitor the activities that are taking place in the park, and aiding during emergencies, we hope to accomplish that. The second is clean and inviting parks, and the district will be assisting with that should this move forward, assisting with maintaining park facilities and ensuring that they're safe and well kept and clean for all visitors. So the district will be responsible for opening and closing all the restrooms and the park facilities, and cleaning those facilities and making sure that they're regularly stocked and taken care of throughout the open hours of the park. And then the last is community engagement. It's also our objective to foster positive interactions between the DRD staff, the city staff, the Indio Police Department, and the community through organizing recreational programs, activities, and events. So our role would be to monitor the parks. Our park attendants will open and secure, conduct regular patrols monitoring the designated parks and open spaces. So there's some areas that aren't necessarily parks that we've also agreed to take a look at. They're kind of open space or turfed areas that aren't necessarily parks. Ensuring compliance with the rules and regulations of the parks, preventing incidents and responding to emergencies. We'll provide visitor assistance. Our attendants will provide information to park users, assist with directions, and address inquiries about park rules, activities, facilities, and events. We'll provide emergency response, as our people will actually be in the parks all the time. They're likely going to be the first ones to respond to any incident that's occurring in the parks. And so they will be trained to respond effectively to medical emergencies, natural disasters, other incidents that may arise within the park. So, for example, say last night, a tree limb broke off in the park or whatever. Well, our folks will be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they'll know right away, and they will secure the area, notify Public Works that there's an issue, those kinds of things. And then maintenance support, as I had mentioned, our park attendants will clean and stock the restrooms, prepare all the rental spaces, report maintenance needs, vandalism, and other issues to the appropriate city departments for prompt resolution. What the city will be doing, the city will be putting forth, I would assume it will come to you first and then to City Council, new park ordinances, so that there are tools in our staff's tool belt and in Indio Police Department's tool belt to deal with activities happening in the park that are not the activities that we want to be happening in the park. The city will provide support by promptly responding to requests for law enforcement. IPD has already agreed to and volunteered to help train our staff in dealing with some of the problem park users that we know are out there today, and to help our staff transition into those interactions with those folks. We would like to use the parks differently. And then, of course, the city will be compensating DRD on a time and materials basis. The budget that we've provided covers all salaries and benefits for our park attendants, training expenses, uniforms, equipment, educational materials. Educational materials are those things that we'll be handing out to park users. So our staff will have, in their tool belt, they will have things that, like the park ordinance once it's adopted, so that they can hand it to a person and say, this is the city's park ordinance. You're currently, sorry, I have to take my glasses off or I'm going to get sick looking at you guys. These are the park ordinances. You're currently violating the park ordinances. Please stop this behavior. And, these are places where you can go to do whatever you're doing, those kinds of things. And then our staff will walk away, and if they don't comply, then we'll notify the police department. But we've had good experience even here in the city of Indio at our parks and facilities. We've had similar issues, but our staff has basically, they have a relationship with these folks, and they just walk out and say, hey, you know what, the kids are coming, it's time to move along, and they pack up and move along. And so that's the city's role. And then there are more partners that will be brought into the mix. I understand the city is changing its park maintenance crew or contractor. And so once they're onboarded, we'll be sitting down with them as well, going through the same, getting everybody on the same page. So between IPD, us, the other support services that are in Indio, and the city staff, I think we're going to have a pretty solid one voice. This is what we're expecting from users in the parks. Performance metrics. So we want to make sure that again, the city's investing in the DRD team to perform these services. We want to make sure that these services are effective, right? We want to make sure that those initial objectives that we had introduced are being achieved, and we intend to do that through park user satisfaction surveys. So we'll establish a baseline once we start, and then we'll continue to survey periodically throughout the course of the contract so that we can see if the needle is moving there. Also, the number and the type of incident reports that we're filing with the city, so we'll have an idea of, if drinking in the park has gone down and, participation in, I don't know, Zumba in the park has gone up, right? We know we're moving the needle. And then again, community engagement, just the level of participation in positive activities in the park, measuring those as well, and hopefully seeing that grow over time while the bad behaviors shrink over time. So what we're proposing to do, we actually had a little bit less to start out with, but then the city came back and had asked us to cover all of the parks and those other spaces that we hadn't previously talked about. And so we're looking at 7 full-time equivalents that we'll be putting on specifically to serve the city of Indio. That consists of 5 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees that fill gaps. It's a total of 280 hours per week, or 14,560 hours per year. And that's 365 days a year from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. that our teams will be present in the parks. Cost. So for the remainder of this fiscal year, we're looking at if everything kind of goes as scheduled, we're looking at November 1, will be our start date. November 15th will be in the parks. November 1 through 15 is training. We want to make sure that our people are adequately trained and prepared to deal with whatever they may face in the park or parks. So for the remainder of 23-24, the current fiscal year, we're looking at $379,000. And then you can see roughly a 3% increase on the following years after that to cover our escalating cost as well. Should bear in mind that this will also provide relief to your Public Works Department, at least not that they won't be working, but they will be able to focus on other things and not cleaning restrooms and opening and closing bathrooms and that kind of thing. And with that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to entertain any questions, comments, concerns. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, do you have any questions?
I know that the city has always struggled with trying to get participants to the parks, right? And I know that you have a very robust and aggressive plan to program the parks. Will you be able to come back to us and let us know what some of those plans are, what some of the ideas are as far as engagement?
Absolutely.
To bring park participation up?
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, I know initially we're talking about doing, particularly at the 4 parks that are closed, after overseeding is completed, we're going to have a community event of some sort at each of those different locations at different times. And that'll be kind of the start of the kickoff of it's a new day in Indio Parks. And then, just with the improvements that have been made by the city over the last 1.5 years or 2 years at Miles Park, you're already seeing a lot more activity there, which is one of the more issued parks. So, and I think that'll just get better with the new amenities that are going in now.
Right. Well, thank you, Kevin, for the presentation.
You know that I'm a true believer that parks make life better. And I'm aware of what the district already does in some other parks, but would you mind sharing some of those as it pertains to community engagement activities that you
Sure.
do lead in the other parks that you manage?
Sure. So we do, all kinds of different things, from fitness in the parks to sports in the parks to community events in the parks, like movies in the parks, or resource fairs in the parks. We facilitated farmers markets. We facilitated, there's really no, we've done laser light shows. We've done all kinds of different things to bring community together. Lots of stuff around the holidays, everything from, I think we get somewhere around 2,000 kids at our Easter egg hunt every year behind our gym. We've already talked about, okay, these are things that we already have planned that we can move to activate some of the other park spaces. 'Cause we got plenty of users at the Indio facility. We don't need any more, so this gives us an opportunity to move them. And with our prior arrangement, where we started doing all of the park reservations in July, it became active. We now have the ability to schedule our own time in those spaces and not have to necessarily work around other user groups. We can plan and block time for ourselves to be able to do that.
All right, perfect. I do have some other questions, though. Okay, so I would really appreciate if, sorry, I have candy in my mouth. I would really, I shouldn't have done that. Appreciate if we can have a member of your team present to us monthly. And then also if you, of course, if this was to move forward, if you guys have a calendar of events already set up, if that could be shared with us, if that's something that your team works on, like maybe annually ahead of time, I'd appreciate it if you share it with the commission. Why? So that we're able to communicate that to the members of the community and then also be of support. I have a question with park reservations. Do you have an online portal to do that, or would people go in person? Okay.
Both. Yeah, it can be done in person or it can be done online.
And do you already have a fee schedule for?
Yes.
Was that part of the presentation? No, right?
Not part of this presentation. It was when we originally put the whole package together. The way it's our fees and charges policy manual, so we're consistent everywhere we do park reservations, which at this point, the only places that we're not reserving the parks is Coachella and La Quinta. And so the fees are consistent. They are, the requirements are consistent. We ensure that they are truly a 501c3, that they have the appropriate insurance, that both the city and the district are indemnified. So we've got quite a process that we go through to ensure everybody's protected in those cases.
Okay. And the last question, when there is a takeover, will you be holding in some sort of like celebration campaign, or is it just going to be like a smooth or like silent transition?
No. Well, so we actually signed the agreement for the reservation portion of it in March, and we met with all of the existing user groups at that time, let them know what was coming so that they could prepare for July 1, that things were changing in the city of Indio, that there would be a few more hoops to jump through and some cost sharing involved in use of the public facilities. And so now we're in the implementation phase. And of course, we've closed several of the parks for renovations and whatnot that the city's currently doing. But we're getting quite a bit of activity, in terms of people wanting to rent spaces, pavilions for family picnics or quinceañeras or what have you. So I think we're on the right track. And this is something that the district did for the city for probably 15, 20 years, and then maybe for the last decade and a half, we haven't. There were some conflicts between our former GM and the former city manager that kind of parted ways for a while. But I think those issues are resolved and have been resolved for quite some time, and so I think we're on a good path.
Awesome, thank you. One last comment, I do want to acknowledge a member of your foundation, Marcos Coronel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Marcos.
Thank you, Karen. It was a great presentation, and it's a really great thing to gonna benefit our city here. And I just have a very easy, simple question. So you said from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., right?
That's correct.
So we're gonna be volunteer or paid?
They're all paid.
They're paid,
Yeah.
okay. All right, and how are you gonna be dealing with summer?
With summer, same way we deal with winter.
Okay.
We'll be there from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
All right, well, thank you so much. It was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are we being asked to make a recommendation, an official recommendation, or was this just a presentation?
We can, it's not an official, like an approval, it's not a motion, but you can certainly recommend with just head nods is kind of what we do for recommendation, but there's not like a formal vote.
Okay.
And then they'll go to council, they go to their board first next week, or the week after, or next week? 27th.
Okay.
And then come to council on the 4th.
All right.
Yeah.
In this case, we'll recommend this program to be, and it's a really great thing. It's gonna benefit community, children and all the ages, and I like the idea of outsourcing, reach out and some seniors and everybody else, so that would be good. Thank you.
So now your head if you're in agreement.
All right, so next item would be new sport park presentation. Don Ueno, please.
All right, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Don Ueno. I work in the city's engineering division. I came to the city in January of this year. Previously, I was at the city of Palm Springs, but over my 20-year career, I built a lot of parks throughout the Southern California. In discussing with Jim, some of the construction updates that we were going at the various parks, he recommended that I give you a quick presentation on the upcoming Indio Sports Park. This is kind of a more high-level presentation, so I don't have, a lot of the fine details for you. But what I did think was important was to go back to at least share with you and the audience who may be watching that, how did we get to the Indio Sports Park? So several years ago, this piece of property, this 39 acres, I guess on the north side is Avenue 44, on the south side is Market Street, and this is west of Jackson Street. There's a 39-acre piece of property that the city owns, and this is the site for the proposed Indio Sports Park. Over the past couple of years, there were 5 workshops that were happening. And the first one, if you guys were involved, we did, it was actually during COVID, we did it at the project site. We had a lot of poster boards, we had surveys for our residents and constituents to kind of give us feedback on what is important to include in a sports park for the city of Indio. We could have one-on-one conversations, and basically the second workshop was a virtual meeting, and we presented to the community the results of the the surveys, what was important to our community. I know it's hard to read, but one of the top 5 that was really important to the community was to have shade structures, was to have open field space for organized sports. They wanted walking paths and a restroom concession building near the baseball fields, as well as public art. So those were the top 5 most desired amenities that they wanted in a sports park. Obviously, there was other things such as fitness equipment, picnic tables, community garden, as well as like a dog park or pet-friendly spaces, and internet and Wi-Fi. So those were the top 10 things that came from that needs assessment. Several months later, we did a design charrette. So basically, we had another meeting in the park where you could actually, we laid out plans on tables, and you could, move little pieces, like I want to put a baseball field here, I want to put a soccer field here, and, we had outreach people kind of record what everybody's thoughts were so that we could organize all that feedback into what was presented in workshop 4, which was a master plan. So this is kind of the preliminary master plan, kind of distilling all of the various viewpoints from, park users, residents, organized sports, staff, everybody in the community. All that feedback was put together to a master plan that was shared with the community to review. And then we got more feedback and did the final workshop, which was the final master plan, which you can kind of see the concept here today on the screen. So that took probably over 2.5 years to do. And then in 2021, an opportunity for a state grant came up where we submitted our Indio Sports Park for grant funding, and we were successful in getting $8.5 million for this Indio Sports Park. Now, as you know, prices have skyrocketed, and what our design team did was try to put as many of the top desired items into that $8.5 million budget. And as you can see, it only builds half of our park. So this is considered phase 1, grant funded through state grants. As you can see, there's a baseball field, a softball field, about 98 parking spaces below those fields. We have one large soccer field, as well as several flex field space, I guess. And then the big chunk of the cost is actually the lighting. So that eats up a lot of the budget. But, it does set up a lot of the amenities. Like, we're planning for the second phase, which is the other half. So a lot of the things that you don't see above ground, so like bringing enough energy to the entire park, we're already planning for it. We're paying for it with phase 1. So bringing in all the water infrastructure, sewer, utilities, that's all underground, so your park users don't really see it, but it does eat up a lot of the budget. But the nice thing is when we do phase 2, a lot of that money will go to the things that people can see. So let me see, phase 2. So yeah, so as part of the final project that received grant funding, these are the amenities that were incorporated into the project. So there are shade structures like little pavilions and trees. There's open field space for several organized sports to go on at the same time. There is one walking path. It's a meandering walking path that goes around the entire field. There's a restroom and concession building. There's going to be some public art. And then, like I said, the parking lots and then the lights for the baseball field. And so this is the final project that's going to go out to bid. It should be going out to bid next month, October. One thing we are adding is a slight walkway that connects this park to Avenue 44. So there's going to be a sliver of land that the city owns, and we're going to turn that into a connection to the sidewalk on Avenue 44. So you can use the main entrance on Market Street, as well as those who live in the neighborhoods of the north of 44, so they don't have like this really long walk to get to the sports park. There's also a method to connect to Avenue 44. And then this part is pretty conceptual. This is phase 2. So this is what we're planning for the next phase of the project. I know it's hard to see, but as you can see, 98 spaces isn't enough parking for the existing park. A lot of the parking does come in phase 2. Also part of phase 2 are the pickleball courts, the tennis court, sand volleyball court. I think at the last minute we threw in a skate park, a splash pad, as well as a large and small dog park, and playground equipment. So that's all coming in phase 2, which is currently under design. It could change, but again, there is opportunity to make tweaks here and there for phase 2. And that's pretty much my presentation. So like I said, we plan to put the project out to bid in October. There's things that we have to do as far as contracts and things like that. So I wouldn't anticipate actually breaking ground and having construction equipment on site till like after the new year, just because the holidays gets a little tricky. And that's kind of the schedule. It should take about 18 months to construct the park. So I would say in about a couple of years, we should have phase 1 complete. And then simultaneously, while the construction is going on, we will be designing the phase 2 portion of it. So the idea is that hopefully those plans will be ready to go out to bid, and we find the funding for phase 2 to build the rest of the park. So with that, I'll end my presentation and open it up to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Don. Vice Chairman Phillips, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Ross, any questions?
I do. Okay, so I see that the access to parking is just going to be on Market Street?
Yes.
Okay. Any actual access to the park from Avenue 44? 48 would be.
Yeah,
44.
Avenue 44, it comes in phase 2 when we build that extra big parking lot. There will be a driveway on Avenue 44, kind of where that part sticks up, and then it connects to Market Street. But at this phase 1 phase, there's no drivable access to.
Okay. How about walking?
Yeah,
access?
so we're going to do that walking
So,
path.
okay,
Kinda-
there will be a walking
Yeah,
path.
kind of where, Allende's restaurant is, that on the corner of Jackson and 44. Like, outside of that parking lot, the city owns a sliver of land.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna, we finally got the okay to turn that into like a walking path to connect to the meandering sidewalk.
Is the complex going to be fenced or is it going to be open?
There is a perimeter fence where the red line is on the thing. That gray area is actually like where all the drainage is gonna go. So it's kind of like a swale. So it's not really usable space to play in, but so that's why it's not green. But yeah, there is a fence, but the walking path is quite a ways away from the fence.
Okay. Let's consider that because most of the population lives north of Avenue 44.
Yeah.
South or Market Street, that's industrial
Yeah.
park. So I wouldn't necessarily see children, right, or families. I have a 17-year-old that's in the back. Hi, Camila. And a 10-year-old, and we walk to Miles Park and others, and so they're pretty accessible. I don't see how, like, if I live north of Avenue 44 and we wanted to access a park walking, like if we would want to go all the way to the access that's closest to the store to Jackson. So I'm not sure. Let's consider maybe other options. We're looking at the park being built maybe 22 or finish 2025, 2026, and then we're talking about the other phase that it's still unfunded, which, I mean, this park has been in the works since she was a baby, and I know because we lived in apartments close by,
Yeah.
and I remember it being in the newspaper, and so it's been 16 years, and that's from what I remember. Who knows how long before that? So we could be looking at another 10. We don't know, right? For the other phase, we hope not. So let's consider some other access points, and
Yeah, the other thing is we don't own that big piece of property.
let's
Uh,
talk to the church. Right there. Be like, hey, before we go. Yeah. And just as a reference, I got to work with a team that had legislation that proposed Prop 68. I worked
68.
with Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, and this is one of the first things that we worked
Yeah.
when we came into office. And so it's really exciting to actually see, right, the money coming back to our communities. We've been able to fund some other parks here in the Coachella Valley, in our whole district that also covers Imperial County. And so it's very exciting to see the money come to the district, and then we've seen other parks already open, or, you know, these funds being utilized. And so I'm really excited about this project, especially because it's here in the city of Indio where I reside. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner,
So Dawn, since you're saying that phase 2 is like pretty much conceptual at this point, would a lot of that stuff is possible to change?
Yeah,
If we
it's-
don't get the,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm sure there is strong support to build something, so however much money we can, we'll build as much as we can, as well as leave open the possibilities to bring some of the things that don't make it into phase 2 into a third phase or a fourth phase. So we have it, because we have a master plan, you know, we can always add another phase and build, you know, another section, or maybe, you know, somebody says, you know, maybe this type of sport activity is more important than that sport activity. We might, you know, swap things around or build whatever, you know, whatever the community needs when we have that funding. And I think because there's strong community support to build, you know, we'll find a way to find money and, you know, keep going. So, and then the other thing, you know, you brought up, you know, there's a difference between sports park and, you know, like more passive park, because what we found is, like, if you're going to play a sport like soccer or whatever, you have to bring all your equipment, so you're most likely to drive to the thing. We're also exploring, you know, when there's large events at the park, we are looking at alternatives for, you know, temporary parking for those like large tournaments and, you know, big events that might happen at the park. So we're looking at ways to, you know, pave that area that we own. Not really pave it, but make it something stronger that can support the weight of cars. So if we wanted to use that as a temporary parking lot for a large event or something like that, we have those options available to us, and then it's not money thrown away when we do the actual construction. So we're also looking into those options.
Yeah, I was just wondering, just because I know we're saying, like, you know, this could be 2025, 2026 by the time it's done. Like, I wonder if pickleball will still be the rage, and do we need those courts, you know?
It's flexible, I mean, you know, and like you could see at Miles Park, you know, we turn tennis courts and basketball courts to pickleball courts.
I was going to say.
We
it's
could
not that
always
we
turn it
can't.
back, you know? It's relatively, it's doable to adjust with the changing sports trends. So, yeah.
thank you very much, Don. It was a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is department updates. I'm going to start with Commissioner Kimberly Raza.
I'll go ahead and defer to Jim. He'll give us more details on those events.
Okay. All right, so next would be Vice Chairman Alan Phillips.
I report on the Indio Performing Arts Center. We've had a very successful summer working with the Desert Sands Unified School District. We had 350 kids participate in our summer camp activities. We're expanding it to 450 for next year. So if your child is TK through 8 and attends the Desert Sands Unified School District, they can attend the program at no cost. It's covered by the district. We served 3 meals per day to the students while they were there. It turned out to be a really fun program. We're looking forward to doing that again next year. We'll also have a spring camp in April that will house 175 students. We're calling that the Theater Olympics. It'll be various games and things throughout the week in the theatrical arts arena. So we had a really good summer. We're looking forward to a good summer next year. Desert Theater Works is just about to begin their season with Lend Me a Tenor in October, leading into Kinky Boots in November, which we're going to be adding performances. So things are going quite well over there.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Next, Commissioner Scarborough.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have the lights at Indio Golf Course. Obviously, it's upon that time of overseeding, and I'm sure Jim can give the exact dates. But I also just wanted to bring up, I know that Hot Shots was like kind of on the table for a while, and it's not, but I'm wondering, is the updating of a clubhouse still on the table? I know that there was a little bit of talk about that during the summer at some council meetings. So I'll let Jim answer those questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. And for parks and open spaces, the way the India is growing, we might be able to probably take this item out maybe next to 2 years. We're not going to have any open spaces. But I just have a question, a follow-up. I think Kimberly mentioned last time there is an area on where the Walmart is on the 42nd. That area we want to kind of make sure, because everything is looking good in Jackson and 42nd, and that little area is a little bit. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. And then next would be updates. Jim.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'll give some updates here on some events and some things. I'll start with the golf course since we already talked about that. They will be closed for overseeding from October 9th through November 2nd. So about a month-long closure for overseeding for that. There is an RFP that went out for the new clubhouse at the golf course. We have about $4.5 million to build a new clubhouse. We're looking at just over 3,000 square feet. Keeping the post office inside as well. That clubhouse was built in 1964, so it's 60-some years old right now, so it's time for something new. There might be some amendments to that clubhouse as well. The price and what we gave some of the folks that are bidding it seems a little low as far as what we'll pay for it, so that number might increase a little bit based on what the contractors come in as. But we're also cutting some things out that we had this big grandioso clubhouse, right, and we had to back down a little bit because of the funding, but that's in the process. So I don't see that breaking ground for at least a couple months. I think in kind of in the same time period that the new area in the front of the clubhouse, in front of the golf course, is going to be built with some new shops and new things going on in there. So I think we're going to kind of do that at the same time. And that some of their plans is already in planning, waiting for approval. So it might get started a little faster than we think, hopefully. So special events, there's a couple things coming up. October 5th through the 8th, there's actually an activation that's going to be happening downtown here. It's called the AC/DC activation. So the band AC/DC has put together a nice little activation event that's going to be going on for 3 or 4 days to kind of be in conjunction with Power Trip that's coming October 6th through the 8th at the Empire Polo Ground. But the ACD activation is going to be right here downtown behind the Club 5 bar, just south of the Club 5 bar here on Fargo and Civic Center. So look for that. They're going to start next week with construction. It's going to be pretty cool what they kind of designed. I think it'll bring some people out to see it, especially your AC/DC fans. So we're looking good for that. Power Trip, as I said, is October 6th, 7th, and 8th. Their timeline real quick is that they're going to open the parking lots at 3 p.m. The doors are open at 4 p.m. and the set times came out today, just about 3 or 4 hours ago. First band on Friday and Saturday is going off at 6:45, and on Sunday the first band goes off at 6:55. They do have permission to go till 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday and midnight on Sunday. I personally am calling this Rockers with Walkers, so I don't know if that needs to be out there in the land, but that's what I'm calling it, only because of the kind of the demographics we have coming in. There's some young folks coming in too. They told us there's a nice little mix, but we'll see if they get to go till 1 or they're going to be in bed by then. So we'll see. Second Saturdays are going really, really well. As you know, that's now under my my supervision, the second Saturdays, and we had a tough August. No, what's this? September. So we had a tough August with not a lot of people because it was so hot. It was 115 that night, I think 120, something like that. But this last weekend, last Saturday, not this past one, I'm sorry, the one before that, we had about almost 300 people there, and the weather was good, and that's kind of what we hope to keep going and keep building on that. We're not ready for the living room to be open yet. There's some electrical issues that are going on with that, but that's where the new home of the second Saturdays will be, is where the stage is going to be, the permanent stage is being built. Barbecue Festival is November 18th, Saturday, November 18th. That's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to have 2 championships going on. We're going to have a separate steak championship along with the normal barbecue championship that we have, which is brisket, chicken, and ribs. So we're going to have steak. I'm hungry right now. Right, that'll all be going on at the same time, and we are now taking that over. The city, it was not written into the chamber contract this year, so Edith, my awesome staff member over there, is going to be doing it with me and putting it together. So we got some fun things planned. There's a couple of fundraisers that are going to go on there as well. So lots more vendors, so we don't have an hour and a half wait for food. We're trying to get that a little bit quicker, get people through. A couple nice bands that are playing that have played in some of our second Saturdays before, and local talent, so we're looking forward to that. Tamale Festival is starting in the works. They put the call out to vendors, I think, on Thursday, and they have almost 50 vendors already signed up just in about 5 days. So that's going to be just on Saturday and Sunday this year. We're not doing Thursday night and Friday night like we did last year. It'll just be Saturday and Sunday. We'll be at Miles Avenue Park again this year. We also have our tree lighting, which will be November 30th, that Thursday before the Tamale Festival. That'll be happening out here in front of next to the council chambers. And that's really, farmers market's going to start again in December. So we have a new farmers market person coming in to take that over. I just found out that today, and they'll be starting in December. That'll be now on Saturdays. So it used to be on Sundays, and we competed with the La Quinta Farmers Market, so we are jumping to Saturday for our farmers market. And that's all I have. Oh, Food Truck Friday. I'm not in charge of Food Truck Fridays, so that's why I don't put it. But Food Truck Fridays are going really, really well, is what my understanding is. A lot of people have showed up. The last couple Food Truck Fridays that they had water. They had a water slide and water play and things like that. But I think 15, 20 food vendors or trucks are out there. It's really going really well. They have 300, 500 people there every Friday, so even through the heat. Any other signs, Edith? Good. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. This is the best time of the year in Coachella Valley, starting from October all the way to February. So good. Thank you for giving all this information. So I guess our next meeting is going to be on October 17. So at this time, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.